guys, welcome back to Strong Successful Male. So for today, gonna go over a story titled, I Caught My Wife at 13 Years Cheating with a Coworker. And guys, this story is one of those stories where the guy definitely is getting royally screwed in the beginning of the story. However, things definitely turn out well for him in the end, or at least as well as can be given the situation. You're going to see this story, guys. This guy was married to his wife for 13 years. Initially, as these things all start, thought they had a great thing going. Great thing going with each other. Both of them made good money, the whole 9 yards. And one day, after having a couple kids and all that, the wife's father dies. The wife's father ran a family business, which she worked for, and she needed to take over, otherwise they'd have to sell the business, probably for pennies on the dollar. So this guy gave up a very promising career that made very good money to be Mr. Mom while she could be at home, while she could run her family business and make a lot more money than he was making initially. Gave up his whole career, taking care of the kids, the cooking, the cleaning, everything, doing everything to cater to her. Bad thing there. And how does she repay him? As you're going to see, it becomes a downward spiral in terms of her treatment of him, borderline resentment, and eventually her cheating on him. However, this guy doesn't take this lying down. And you're going to see here, given the situation, he makes out like a bandit when it comes to the divorce process and the whole 9 yards. And you're going to see here that, guys, this whole thing he goes through and how the complete 180 in her attitude once she realizes she's in deep crap, okay, with the law and everything in terms of the family courts and all that. It's a very interesting one. But I'm doing this one for a few reasons, guys. Number one, everybody likes a good story where when a guy is being wronged, he comes out on top. We all like that one. There's too many guys being really screwed over. We need to hear good stories like this one, that these guys, what they go through, they come out on top. Number two, you're going to see the struggle he goes through with regards to not just with him, but also with his daughters. His daughters, as you can imagine, are very upset by the process and how he handles this and juggles everything and tries to stay strong for them, because this is a tough situation. And three, most important, guys, and this is a very important theme of this story, what happens and the damage that can happen in relationships when men and women switch traditional roles. He becomes Mr. Mom, traditionally the female role, the feminine role, taking care of the house, taking care of the kids, taking care of everything, while she takes the masculine role as the breadwinner, taking care of all the bills, bringing in the money, all that. You're going to see how just this resentment builds. And so many of these stories I've covered, guys, it's just that. The narrative is right now, brought on, thank none other than the feminist movement. The narrative is that, hey, a woman could be the breadwinner and bring in all the money, and the husband could be Mr. Mom, and everything will work out just fine. The problem is that what happens usually is resentment builds. He takes on the more feminine role. She takes on the more masculine role. She's turned off because he's in that feminine role. She stops seeing him as a masculine man, and in some cases builds up resentment towards him. And also cases he builds up resentment towards her, and is turned off by her more masculine personality that develops by taking the masculine role. It's a problem. The SEX dries up. Next thing you know, there's cheating, and it's a big freaking mess. Lots of times I've covered this. At the end of the day, it's better that the guy is given the choice. He's the breadwinner, and she's the stay-at-home mom if somebody has to stay at home. It's not a good idea. And also, you've seen what happens in these stories when the woman makes a lot more money than the guy. You guys know what I'm talking about here. And so I think it's very important for me to address that, and you'll see here in this story how that goes. I haven't talked about this subject in a while. I mean, I get newcomers all the time, so I thought it'd be a good time to bring that up. A lot of people won't like my view on this, but when you've done enough of these videos or read these stories and seen these examples, what happens when the wife takes on the masculine role in terms of like the household duties. The household duties go to the husband. He takes on the feminine role, and she takes on the role as the breadwinner. Doesn't end very well. So, starts off, and this is a long one, guys, but it's a good one. He says, just here to get straight to the point, my wife and I have been married since we were 25 years old. We are 38 years old now. We met in college, got married, and everything has been great. We both graduated, got good jobs, and started our lives together. Me and my wife both made good money, so money was never an issue for us. My wife worked for her dad's small business while I worked for a very large company. After a few years, my boss left the company out of nowhere, and they needed someone to take over. The only person who knew how to run the department was me, So I got a major pay jump, better bonus, better benefits. The works. So at 28 years old, I was making probably 3 times plus more than my wife. That's awesome. And you're going to see he's going to give this up for her. At 28, the same year, my wife gave birth to our first daughter. Then 2 years later, our second daughter. My wife, due to working for her father, was able to be more diverse in working. Well, around 5 years ago, my father-in-law passed away unexpectedly. That left my mother-in-law and wife in a hard position. Sell the company or run it themselves. My mother-in-law had no clue how to run it, so my wife said she would do it. After my wife took the company, it did just as well as when her father had run it. With that being said, my wife got a huge pay increase, more than me. I was proud of her. Going from a basic worker to running the whole company isn't easy. That isn't easy. And that says something about her. That's impressive. I'll give credit where credit's due. But she turns into a total asshole real quick. Anyway, our daughter started suffering from not seeing their parents. Me and my wife discussed one of us staying home. She said, "The company you work for will be fine without you. Mine could go under." I agreed, so I quit my job and became a stay-at-home dad/husband. And here's where the problem will begin. I get the situation where, the company will go under. She has to run it, therefore it takes more of her time and everything. She doesn't have the flexible work schedules before, but for him to give up his whole career, is it possible he could do some of his thing part-time at home? And that way then he can still stay on? I mean, seriously, there has to be another alternative here. But unfortunately, this guy does what the narrative says and is a supportive husband and all that. And watch what happens. I do everything. I make sure the girls are all taken care of. I cook, clean, fix things, make sure errands are run, you name it. I pamper my wife when she gets home from working. This sounds like the traditional housewife with the husband, doing all those things and when she would pamper the husband when he comes home. He's in the feminine role. She's in the masculine role. Watch what happens. My wife was always very appreciative of what I did and loved it. She's become very mean lately. I wonder why. Like just saying things like, "Do you do anything?" Or "How about you work for real?" What the F, lady? He gave up his thriving career for you so you could take over, you run the family business. And this is how you treat him? See the resentment building up now. You're going to find out she's having an affair, but regardless, that affair started because she was turned off by her husband. And whose idea was this whole thing anyway? Her idea. And look what he sacrificed for her. It says here, "What? I work my ass off every day making sure you don't have to lift a finger when you get home at all. Also, I had a real job, but I quit to raise and take care of the girls, our home, and you. Not to mention my wife is very sexual. Always has been. She quit initiating the sex, and when I ask, she's never in the mood." There's always a sign. She's never in the mood because A, she's getting the D from someplace else, and B, she's turned off by him. It's not his fault that this was her idea. Remember this. This was her idea. Eventually, I quit trying. I just thought with all the pandemic crap and everything else, she was just very stressed and it was getting to her. I started trying harder to make her happy. Nothing ever worked. That will never work. The guys at work, this happens all the time. Guys are treated like crap by their lady. Well, I wouldn't call her a lady, but you know what I mean. Their woman. And they try harder and harder to please her, thinking that'll fix things. When she's acting like an a-hole, and she knows she's acting like an a-hole, and a guy keeps trying and kissing her butt and trying to make her happy, that makes her resent him more and treat him worse. What he should have done is said, "Hey, I gave up my career for you, so either you can cut the bullshit and you start being appreciative of me and put a fucking dish away and cook something every once in a while. Otherwise, you can sell the company and I'm going back to work. And by the way, we're a husband and wife, and guess what? I got needs, and if I ain't getting it, I'm getting it someplace else." Gotta lay down the law, because remember here, she is the sole breadwinner, taking care of everything. He could divorce her like that if he wanted to, and watch what happens. And guess what? She's screwed. So he's got a lot of leverage and power. He just doesn't know it yet. No man should be treated that way at all. Look what he's doing for her. Now we're getting to the good stuff. He says, last weekend, my oldest had a softball game. So I get everything ready and we go. During the game, I wanted to take a video for my mom and dad since they live in another state and don't get to see their daughters that often. I forgot my phone, so I asked my wife if I could see hers. She had been attached to it all day, so it'd be good for her to get off it. Anyway, she hands it to me and says she's going to go get a drink and a snack. She gets up and I video my daughter when a message comes up on some kind of app. I check and I can't even fathom what I see. My wife and this guy from her work, who is 8 years younger, are sexting and sending videos and pictures, talking about how great the SEX was and then me. He is saying how I'm some wimp who can't get a real job taking care of his woman, and my wife agrees with him. It's always the phone. You all heard how he gave his career for the family, takes care of them, all that, because it was her idea, and now she's not only cheating on him, but insulting him with this guy, not calling him a real man and all that stuff. It was her idea. He should never went along with this. But at the end of the day, she's the a-hole. We all can agree there. Gets worse, guys. I was so devastated and angry all at the same time. I heard my wife coming back, so I closed the app and started videoing. On the ride home, and when we got home, my wife tries to talk to me, and I'm not in the mood. Eventually, we lay in bed, and for the first time, I guess they hadn't met in a while, she tried to have sex. I tell her I'm not in the mood, and she says, if you're going to be a bitch about everything, you can sleep on the couch. I got up and went to the couch, and now have been there since. How about she goes sleeps on the couch? Now, she at this moment doesn't know that he knows about what he saw and what she's doing, but still. This is her attitude towards him. Nobody should put up with this shit. I don't know how to move forward with this. I really just don't know where to start. My wife was my everything. My girl's my world. And all that is dying. Any advice would be wonderful, as I really effing need it. Here's the advice. One word. Lawyer. In case you didn't hear me again, I'll say it again. Lawyer. You got the proof right there. And by the way, guess what? You gave your career for her. She is the breadwinner, pays all the bills. You, in this situation, given your state, can have her, you can get the girls, the custody. You can get the house. You can get the alimony and child support from her. Women do that to guys all the time, and this is her fault. And watch this, guys. He does just that. He says as an update, he says, hey, everyone, I want to thank you for your advice that you all gave. First off, I do have the text, pictures, videos, and everything. Aha, he kept them. Took snapshots, and who knows what he did, but he got them. Second, I don't any of the company, whatever the hell that means. I don't own any of the company. It's 50-50 between her and my mother-in-law. Third, I can't sleep in the bed. I've been sleeping in the guest bedroom every night, and that is where I will be staying. To answer, I decided to divorce her. Good, bro. Anyway, this morning I called a firm in another town to avoid anyone finding out. Thankfully, they will be able to get me in this morning as someone had canceled. After dropping off my girls from school, I drove over there. To make a long story short, he is a very good lawyer. I showed him what I had. He said that luckily for me, with the evidence that I have, she'll be pretty much screwed in the divorce. Seeing as I quit my job to raise our girls, she is never home, she's having an affair, prioritizes this man over me and my girls, she will lose very easily. He basically said that we will get child support, alimony, I will keep the house, and she will have to pay it for as long as me and my girls live there. Hey, freaking men. Hallelujah. Also, he stated that we could even try for more money, since I'm considered no longer viable in the working world, to help me pay for education to get a job. Some of you were right. He said not to work until after the divorce is over. He said, since you're the husband, if you have a job, you can lose a lot of this. Yeah, don't get a job until the divorce is over. I mean, duh. That means you can get more out of her. You know, guys all the time, understandably, freak out when they get screwed over like this. And often it's when it's her fault. But now a situation like this where he's done everything right, and she's screwing him over, you're about to see what happens to her. And the gals don't like it when they're treated the same as the guy is in the divorce court. He asked me if I wanted full custody. I said that I don't mind my wife seeing her girls on the weekends every once in a while, but I would want mostly full custody. He said since she had an affair in the marital home, I can basically do what I want. So, not only is she cheating, but she's doing it in his house. How's it? I'd like to know how that's happening. Well, I guess when he maybe takes the girls somewhere or something like that, the guy comes on over so mama can have her fun time. But, I mean, you would talk about adding insult to injury here. She's evil. Since she started bringing over a strange man over to our house, put the girls in danger, and makes her guilty. So I'll be going for full custody when she can get weekends once, maybe twice a month. No man will be allowed around my girls, and if there are, she could face problems by me if I find out. I just don't want that piece of crap around my daughters. He eventually said to keep quiet until the drafts are ready, and that he will issue someone to serve her and have it issued that she is required to leave the home. He said he should have it done sometime next week. He asked me just to please keep quiet. He said, I know it's hard and you're upset, but just shut the hell up until everything is done. Yes, poker face, brother. Once the divorce is over, you can say whatever the hell you want about her, but until then, keep your mouth shut. He said, act as normal. He said, no fights, no issues, sleep in separate beds, and no sex. I said, no problem, but why? He said, just trust me, don't do it, and do as I say. Listen to your lawyer. Try to keep your emotions in check. So, I just got home and I've started getting ready for dinner and acting and being normal. I'll be acting as if everything is okay until she is served next week. As I can only make 2 updates, yes, I actually read the rules on here. Any more will be on the page if anyone cares. Thank you all for the advice and some very harsh words. And to the guy who asked for my wife's nudes, just know. It seems all you have to do is ask her and she will send them, so it isn't that hard as it appears. Of course somebody had to ask for that. As a quick edit, he recommended I get an STD test plus a DNA test on my girls. When I asked why, he said, it's pretty rare incident like this that are the first time that they've happened. So yeah, that effing hurt to hear and scared the hell out of me. This poor bastard, now he has to worry if he caught something from her. And has to question whether his daughter's in fact his. I mean, after all this shit, I mean, give this guy a break. Don't let him have an STD, and for God's sake, let the girls be his own kids. And now we're going to find out all that and see when he definitely strikes on his soon-to-be ex-wife. Next update, he says, hey everyone, I just want to thank you all who sent me good messages over this period. I've been feeling down and things have been rough. To preface, I have talked to my lawyer about these posts. I didn't go into too much detail. They did tell me, though, that as long as I keep them brief and not super specific, that I can post. But I just have to be careful about what I put into this not to leave too many details. That is that. So, for a quick update, like I said, it will be brief and not too specific for legal reasons. We will start with the test. I was able to get an STD test on myself and a paternity test on the girls. I came out that thankfully I have no diseases and I'm clear. Whoosh, that's one. Since I've been pretty much sexless from her for the last year, I wasn't all that surprised. Now for the one I'm sure most of you are wondering, the test of my 2 girls. Am I their dad? I will always be their dad regardless of the results. However, I'm here to say that yes, I'm their biological father. I've never been so happy to know that I'm their dad. Never thought I would have to question it, but here we are. Thank the Lord. That's the last thing this poor bastard needs, is to find out that his kids or one of his kids isn't his. As for what happened with my soon-to-be ex, well, she is out of the house and I've been granted full temporary custody. Justice is served. In the future, which may be a while, I will go into more specific details. However, for now, she's out of the house. My lawyer set everything up for me to get the girls and make sure that we will legally handle her being removed from the home. It wasn't pretty, but the details for another time. Dude, we want the details. She was served at work, and from what I know, it wasn't pretty. Like I said, though, details for another time. Well, you better stick to that. We want the details. I want to know how she reacted when the guy served her and how that all went down. And at work, of all places. My girls know what's going on. My oldest knows we are separating, and one of her friend's parents split for the same reason. She has seen what happened with her friend and doesn't want us to split. She's been crying for me to let mommy come home. I'll be getting them in with a child therapist to explain and help them understand from direction of my lawyer. My youngest just wants mommy to come home and misses her. It kills me and makes me feel like a terrible father, and they probably hate me now. That sucks, because he's now going to be seen as the bad guy, especially if his soon-to-be ex-wife messes with her emotions and says it's daddy's fault and daddy would take me back or some shit like that. And it's sad for these poor kids, and they're going to think they did something wrong. This guy needs to do everything he can to reassure them it's not your fault, mom loves you, dad loves you, and get them the care they need. Sometimes I think I should just let their mother cheat on me to keep the family unit to make their girls happy. No, dude. I just can't do that. Sometimes I think about allowing an open relationship, and we can just wait till the girls are older. But that won't work for me. Plus, I know the girls will pick up on it and will not like it that mommy and daddy don't love each other. If you stayed in it just for the kids, yeah, mom and dad are going to hate each other's guts, and the kids will grow up in a household like that. Better you split and can start over and all that. As for my ex, she is living with her mother at this point. My mother-in-law has called me and asked to meet. I agreed and we will be meeting at some point. She didn't ask for details, as she said we will talk later, but begged me not to take her granddaughters away from her. I said you are great and a loving grandmother, and as long as you can separate my girls from what is going on between your daughter and I see no issue with you being able to see them, and I will not take them out of your life. She thanked me, and that is it. Well, that's good to this guy. If their grandma truly is a good person and good to the grandkids, then of course. But I'd be careful, because at the end of the day, grandma's loyalty is going to go, the first loyalty is going to go to her daughter. So be careful there. My ex, can't wait to hear about her. My ex has been trying to call me and text me trying to figure us out. Under direction of my lawyer, he has had it set up so that we can only talk through a trackable method, and it's purely about the girls. No more, no less. So that is it for now. We'll probably keep updating, and once this is all over with, I will make one big update for the details, and I have to be careful about this. Thank you. Yeah, notice his wife, soon-to-be ex, is messaging him to talk about figuring things out and figure us out. This is the same lady that was calling him a little bitch. Remember that part? And was insulting him and making fun of him with her lover about him not having a job and not being a real man and all that. Or when she was saying things, do you do anything? Why don't you get a job? Insulting him. But now that she's screwed, now that she is losing her daughters, kicked out of her own house, has to pay alimony, has to pay child support. Now she wants to work on us and figure us out. You had your chance, honey. And now for the final update. Things going on with his wife, the daughters, and grandma. It says here, hello everyone. I thought I would give everyone an update on some stuff that has happened. So first off, I had Thanksgiving with my soon-to-be ex and my mother-in-law. I did this purely for the girls and made sure with my lawyer this was only about the girls and not about reconciliation. That was taken care of. Yes, consult your lawyer on these things. That could not have been fun, Thanksgiving dinner with the ex who's dying to get him back because her life has gone to hell in a handbasket. And the girls and all that, but he's doing it for the girls. Have some normalcy in their life, Thanksgiving. First, I met with my mother-in-law pre-Thanksgiving. We met and had a pretty mutual discussion. Mainly just things about how we will handle my daughters afterwards. My mother-in-law did tell me some stuff about my soon-to-be ex. Apparently, my soon-to-be ex was cheated on by her high school boyfriend. Didn't even know she dated anyone. I guess this guy came from one of those families, according to my mother-in-law, and they told her to avoid him. Well, I guess one night she caught him with his head under another girl's dress and tongue deep in the girl's jewelry box. While my mother-in-law couldn't believe she would do this. She had a couple boyfriends that they met in college, but she knew they wouldn't last. She said that as soon as she met me, she found her son-in-law. She says she is sorry for her daughter's actions and will make sure that she doesn't try to do anything problematic with the divorce. Okay. Thank you very much, soon-to-be ex-mother-in-law and grandma, my daughters. I appreciate that. But again, if I was this guy, I'd be like, okay, I appreciate that. But deep down, I'd be thinking, okay, she's saying these things and I want to give her the benefit of the doubt. But remember, at the end of the day, she's my ex-wife's mother. And when it comes down to it, first loyalties to the, let's be honest here, so just be careful. Anyway, a couple days before Thanksgiving, my mother-in-law asked for me to come over for dinner with the girls. I said, will she be there? She said, yes. I said, I cannot be there with her. She said she understands, but asked if we could put on the holiday one more time for the girls. She said, I know you have a lawyer. Ask them, and if they said it's a bad idea, then I get it. I did, and they said to tell your wife via the app that this is purely for the girls to avoid any confusion. So I did. She had contacted me before about coming over. She's been begging me to see me and the girls. The girls have been begging me to see their mom. I swallowed my pride for my girls, and we went. I would not have wanted to do that. But given it was Thanksgiving and the girls, it would be literally like you get there, you say grace, gobble up the food. Okay, see ya. Because it's good the only communication he's having with his ex is through a certain app, a traceable app, whatever the hell that's supposed to be. And it's purely about the girls. That's the only reason they should talk. And she's begging for a second chance and begging all that. If they get used to this coming over for dinner shit, it could be a problem. It was awkward. My soon-to-be ex gave our daughters a hug, fine, and then tried to hug and kiss me. I just avoided her and went to give my mother-in-law a hug. My soon-to-be ex tried to act like a husband and wife and was trying to talk to me. I answered with yes and no's and helped my mother-in-law finish dinner and clean up. My mother-in-law is religious and wanted to do a prayer, and my soon-to-be ex sat next to me. I held my daughter's hand with my wife, tried to grab mine, and I pulled away. I know it may seem petty, but I don't want her touching me. Dude, nobody can blame you. And I might add, you don't want to give her any false hope. I'm an atheist, but out of respect for my mother-in-law, I go along with it. Dinner was fine. Again, the soon-to-be ex trying to act like we are going to be married and asked about Christmas and vacations. I guess she wants to take us as a family. Fat chance, honey. I'm not going anywhere with you. When she mentioned this stuff, I knew going was a mistake. We finished dinner, and I pretty much got up, cleaned my daughters and dishes, and I was ready to go. My daughters wanted to watch a movie with their mother, but we always watch. I let them, and soon-to-be ex tried to cuddle with me on the couch. Smack! You should have gotten out of there, man. I know it's hard, and the girls are upset and all that, but the more you spend with your ex, the more you're just causing pain. Pain for you, giving her false hope, making the girls have false hope. It's tough. I don't have kids, so I don't know what this is like, but I can be as empathetic as I can. It's tough, but there's a point. You got to draw a line in this, and otherwise it can get worse. And watch this. I let my soon-to-be ex try to cuddle with me on the couch. I sat in the chair afterwards. My mother-in-law was very mad at my soon-to-be ex the whole night for how she acted. I could tell by the looks that she gave her. The movie ended and we started to leave. My daughters fell asleep, so I carried them to the car. I went in to grab something, and my soon-to-be ex grabbed me in tears, begging to work on things, and she wants to be a family, and so sorry for what happened. You're so sorry for what happened because you're screwed, because you got to pay me alimony and me child support, and you lost the house, and you lost custody of the kids. And you may even pay me something else because I haven't been working in years and need a little money for education. So of course you're so sorry. You aren't so sorry when you're hooking up with your coworker and making fun of me and calling me a little bitch. Oh, that ship has sailed, honey. You made your bed, you can lie in it. Before I could say anything, my mother-in-law grabbed her by her hair, not joking, yanked her and told me good night and began yelling at her daughter. Man, mother-in-law's a badass. So yeah, I told my lawyer everything and said nothing indicated reconciliation, and you made that clear in your messages. You are fine. Wife once again called and begged now to work on us. She gets left unread. I will only talk about the girls, and I'm sure they're going to want to do the same for Christmas. I don't know if I can do that or if it's okay. Once again, I will discuss with my lawyer. So that is the end of this. There was the original post, then 3 updates. So that is it for now. I'm going to pay close attention because I'm very curious how this thing goes down. Christmas is around the corner because it's obviously a recent thing. Tomorrow's December 1st. He's going to have to figure out what to do. I know he loves his daughters, but the more time he spends around the ex could give the girls false hope, give the ex false hope, make him uncomfortable as hell. And I think our man here has dealt with enough bullshit that he can get a pass on being in these uncomfortable situations. We shall see. But anyhow, guys, this is a story here. Like I said, it's nice to see a guy. And at the end of the day, does he really win here? Well, not yes and no. Yes, he wins in the divorce situation, but his life's been torn apart. The kids are deeply hurt and miserable because they miss their mom, they miss their family. The woman he once loved, thought was his loyal wife, all this went down. I mean, so it really is it a win? Well, not really, but it's the best win he can get given the situation. But important lesson nonetheless, again, what I said, when the roles are switched, when the guy takes on the feminine role, the traditional feminine role, and the wife takes on the traditional masculine role, what can happen? Okay, and I've done a lot of these stories, same shit. So, situation ever arises where one parent needs to stay home with the kids and one needs to, even if the dad makes less than the wife, maybe it's a better idea that the guy stays working. He's the breadwinner. Or given how things are nowadays where people can work at home, she's working at home something. But if the guy is the total Mr. Mom, it's not a good situation. I've done too many of these things that I've noticed a major pattern here. A lot of people don't like that idea. I'd be labeled a lot of nasty things because of that, but when you see enough examples of this, it says something. But anyhow, I wish this guy the best. All right, guys, that's it for today. Be sure to comment down below what you think about this. And be sure to like the video, share it with your friends, and subscribe. And I'll catch you next time.